Hello, my name is Gabe Zollner. Interesting article on Western Center for Journalism this morning, and it's titled Hillary Clinton, Iran Exports Terrorism to Mexico. Apparently, on the 30th of November, she gave a speech at the Brookings Institute in Washington, D.C., and what she said is that the exporter of terrorism is in fact, Iran. And she talks about how they export terrorism pretty much from Mexico down in through Thailand. She also said that they're very aware of the regime exports terrorism, not only Israel's doorsteps, but across the world. And Clinton said if we had a map she could put up there, then she would show the extent of their ability to export terrorism. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but what she didn't talk about is the terrorism that her own administration exports. There's very little doubt that the less than honorable Eric H. Holder Jr. was instrumental in exporting weapons across the border, and he didn't do that without the permission of Obama. As a matter of fact, there's a video that you can Google, David Ogden, March the 24th, 2009. And that's where David Ogden, who was the Assistant Attorney General, lays out the entire program. He talks about Obama providing initial funding of $10 million for the effort. He also talks about Eric Holder's involvement in expanding the various offices to be able to provide these kind of weapons. Their plan initially was to try to track them, but I don't think that was really the real objective. The real objective was to let slaughter occur across the Mexican border and then come back and say, you know, we've got to restrict guns because look what happened on the other side of the border where guns weren't being able to be controlled properly. And that came to an abrupt halt when Obama decided to sign the executive privilege to protect Eric Holder, but he also protected himself. The only way he could sign executive privilege is if he was involved. He can't bestow that on somebody else. So the simple fact that he exerted executive privilege clearly is unequivocal proof of his guilt in having been involved. Otherwise, again, he couldn't have exerted executive privilege. What Hillary didn't speak about is the guns and the high-grade military weapons that Obama and his administration exported to Syria. And by doing so, they were able to undermine Gaddafi and his forces. Obama even gave it a little bit of a push because they weren't doing that well. The insurgents weren't doing that well. So what Obama did was, without congressional approval, he launched military action with, I believe, the Air Force, which bombed a lot of Gaddafi's forces into submission. His then focus is onto Syria. And once again, he's provided high-grade military weapons to al-Qaeda and extremist Muslims. And their intent, again, is to get rid of Assad, whose family kept the Brotherhood out of Syria for the last 40 years. And what will happen is after Syria falls, which I have little doubt that it won't fall, I'm absolutely certain that it will fall, their next targeted country will be Jordan. And Saudi Arabia already is a Muslim country under the rule of Sharia law, and so will Jordan, and so will Libya, and so will Syria shortly follow. What has to be answered is where are all the Christians going to go that presently live in those countries, including Egypt? And we already saw what's going on in Egypt with their president. He's, I believe, taxing Christians that sort of live in that country right now. And I'm sure that there's a huge exodus of people wanting to leave that country, and they probably will. The problem that we have is that we get misinformation. You know, we've got Hillary Clinton out there talking about how Iran is exporting terrorism when she should be talking about how her administration is exporting terrorism as well. Will it end? I don't know if it ever will end. I think the only thing that can bring it to a conclusion is if Obama is found to be ineligible to hold office. If you stop to think about it, we've never had anyone have so many things going on around him, swirling around him, doubt, concerns, yet he just gets away with everything. And what that tells me is that it's too late. The fix is in, and unless either the judge in Florida or the judge in Alabama demand that his documents be exposed, the documents both in the vaults in Hawaii, Department of Health, as well as the documents that are somewhere in Occidental and or Harvard. Unless those documents are exposed, this madness will continue. Believe it.